You are so right, and you're not alone, because this is a lot my situation as well. And so I can tell you a little bit about how I've decided to see it. And even just this past weekend, so I was doing a training. I'm getting certified to be an infinite possibilities trainer, and when I am that, I'll be coming back on sharing even more in depth about that. But somebody brought up a question like this in the group of they're really into positive self-talk or loving themselves, and their partner is not into that. I've been thinking a lot about my partner the past few days because I feel like I personally am reaching a new level of self-love and caring for myself and personal growth, all those things. And sometimes I feel like he's staying in the same place. I'm not knocking him, but I relate to what you're talking about. Here's what I've decided, partly from the conference that I just did and partly what I've done for the past few years that seems to work. One, I focus on the gratitude as much as possible. There are 1,000 things a day, or at least 100, that I could be annoyed about with my husband and with my kids, but I've chosen to live with them. So I'm going to keep on living with them. I'm going to keep on loving them. And I have this notebook. The title of the journal says something like Reasons to Love Ed. No, I know. It actually, there's a quote on the journal that says something makes a difference. So I slashed the something and wrote Ed makes a difference. And whenever him and I are in a stage where I'm getting really frustrated with how he is, and I feel like I want him to be more like me so that I can be happier in life, I take out that notebook, this journal, and I make myself every day write 3 positive things about him. Now, I've done this for years, and I'll pull it out, I don't know, once or twice a year, maybe sometimes more and maybe sometimes less. I kid you not, in 5 to 7 days after doing this, I suddenly start seeing him totally differently and start interacting with him totally differently. The wild thing is he's probably not changing, but I change. And here's the thing for you, and this is one of the hardest things that I think we can do, both in love relationships, sometimes in friendships, and then parent-child relationships. We spend so much time with these people, we know them so well, that in a way, we start to think that their flaws or their downsides are immutable, and that's just the way they are. But what I was reminded of recently is even our negative views of another person, it's almost like it's seeding that into their reality. And of course, I'm not being critical of you in any way, because like I said, I'm right there with you. And what I was returning to this thought of, I do it especially with my kids, but yes, my husband does push my buttons too. And I want him to be different. And I want him to have a better life. And I think, dude, your life could be so much better. And when I'm more neutral towards him or positive, then he doesn't have to interact with my negative opinions about him. So that's the first thing. Like I said, I guess it's like 1A and 1B. So being neutral as much as possible towards this other person, that's the first part of it. And then the part that I do for that is I have a gratitude journal just about him that I write 3 things a day in. And even as I'm saying this, I'm like, I guess I need a gratitude journal about my kids, because especially one of them pushes my buttons a lot. The next thing about this is I feel like over time, maybe they do change, but we want them to change so much. So it's being okay that like every single person in life has to be ultimately responsible for the own way that they engage with their happiness. And I keep on consistently returning to the idea, the more I claim responsibility for my life, and so you might think for you, the more you claim responsibility for your own life, your own happiness, do your own things, it makes a model for others to be, oh, wow, maybe I could be like them. Maybe I could do that for me too. And then the last thing I think is, so a few years ago, my husband started going to this one counselor, and he came home and he was like, wow, you really know what you're talking about. And he said to me, he told me all the things that you've been saying. And I'm thinking, I know. I really tried to not say I know to him. But I thought, wow, he couldn't hear it from me, but he could hear it from somebody else. Creating the space for them to hear it from someone else can sometimes be the thing. And lastly, this is the thing I started doing this year. This has blown my mind. I highly recommend you to tell it to yourself and practice this. It could be the game changer. So here's what I do now. Every time I hear something and I think he needs to hear this, he needs to do this. I'll meet someone who does a modality and I'm like, oh, that is perfect for my husband. Every time that happens, I pause and I think, but what if the answer is that's what I need? Woo! Oh my gosh. I just felt all the energy like through my body, because here's what happens. It's so easy for us to see it in them. And yes, we know we want them to be better, but you noticing it and wanting things better for him, I believe, is also the deep part of your soul saying, I want this too. I want this. And okay, maybe not every single thing, but what can you notice and try out and just see, maybe it is what you want. So like lately, there's a few times I got a new modality that I thought, oh, it'd be great for my husband. And I thought, well, if he won't do it, I'll do it. And it was great. And I'm giving myself all the love I think he needs. Also, FYI, I don't really include my kids in my videos, so that's why I keep on pulling away. He does not agree with that, as I think you can tell. Best of luck. I know this is not a one and done thing, because as long as you're in a relationship with someone, there are these nuances, but best of luck to you.